Hello everyone. Today I'm going to do another in my series of Mediterranean diet FAQs. So these are the frequently asked questions I get about the Mediterranean diet. So a lot of times people ask me about portion sizes and they're confused about how much they can eat, because I'm always talking about eating in moderation, but what does that actually mean? So I would like to talk about portion sizes today, and I also want to talk about snacking. So portion sizes. When you look at the Mediterranean diet pyramid, at the very top of the pyramid, which is what you're supposed to eat the least amount of, and I will interject a picture here of the Mediterranean diet pyramid. But at the very top of the pyramid is sweets and meats, and you're only supposed to eat those things several times a month. And then you can more often eat maybe some poultry in your diet. You can eat fish fairly often, lots of vegetables with every meal, whole grains, nuts and legumes and seeds and things like that. So you can eat lots of food on the Mediterranean diet, but it's the portions of things like red meat or poultry that people misunderstand. So I was in a restaurant the other day, actually it was kind of like a diner, and they were advertising their special for the following day, and it was a 16-ounce steak. 16 ounces, that's obscene. That could feed a family of 4. So I remember when I was young, when you went out to someplace that had steak, they would advertise their big steak was like 8 ounces. And even that is huge. But a 16-ounce steak, I just can't even imagine it. It must look like the kind that they serve to Fred Flintstone when he goes for the Brontosaurus burger. When you're eating red meat or poultry or fish, your serving size should be about 4 ounces, maybe 3 to 4 ounces. And that, you could think of that as like the size of the palm of your hand, maybe even not like the full palm of my hand, maybe like that. That would be about 4 ounces. And that is appropriate for the portion size. But you can fill the rest of your plate up with things like vegetables and whole grains and legumes and beans and healthy fats and things like that. So you should be eating plenty and plenty of vegetables, because vegetables and whole grains and things like that, they stay in your system longer. They take longer to digest, and you'll actually stay full longer. So while you're thinking, oh, I'm only eating 4 ounces of something, you're not really. You're eating 4 ounces of your protein or your meat or your fish or your chicken, and everything else, your plate is full of other things. So really, it's portion sizes in this country that are what is causing obesity. I was just reading, hi honey. I was just reading an article in Discover magazine, and it was actually an article from 2018, but it's still very relevant today. And it was talking about like, why do we have such an obesity problem in the United States? So from 1980 until today, obesity has risen dramatically in the United States. And why is that? So it's really, they looked at it from all different angles. So there is the blood sugar insulin problem. There is the gut biome, where there's bacteria in the gut. There are carbs. People are carb crazy in this country, and they're afraid that carbs are what is making them fat. And some of those things may contribute in all areas, but the main conclusion of this study was that we just eat too much. It's such a simple thing. We just eat too much food, and we eat all the time. So which is why I wanted to also talk about snacking in this video. I belong to a group, I have a group of my own on Facebook about the Mediterranean diet, but I belong to another group, several groups all around Facebook, but there's one in particular that is also about the Mediterranean diet. And it has a large crowd in there, and some of the people just want to eat healthy and live this new healthy lifestyle, but some are there because their doctors told them they have to go on the Mediterranean diet, they have to do something, because they either have heart disease, or they're dangerously close to it because their cholesterol and blood pressure is high, or they have type 2 diabetes, or they're very close to developing type 2 diabetes. So there are reasons why a lot of these people were told that they have to be in this group. And so it's, it's kind of a fun group. People post what they eat all the time, and they're always doing little challenges, and we share recipes and things like that. But there are always people in there who don't really understand it yet, and they've been told by their doctor, and they're trying really hard, but they ask questions. Like there was one woman in particular, I don't want to call out the group and I don't want to call out the person, because we all need to be educated on this before we really get it right. But she was saying she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and she wanted to know, she was asking the group for advice on what kind of healthy snacks she could eat while she's in the car, because she always has snacks in the car for the kids, but she doesn't want them to have to eat what she's eating, so what kind of things should she eat? So people were, commenting, carrot carrot sticks and this, and giving her all these things. And I thought, stop everybody. The real question, the real answer for me is, why do you have to eat in the car? You should never be eating in your car. And your kids don't have to snack all day. Like if you're driving around, you're picking your kids up from school. People pick their kids up after school now and they take them through the McDonald's drive-thru, or they'll pick them up with a snack already in the car. And as soon as they get in the car, they have a little snack as a pick-me-up before dinner. But you don't need that. And snacking just gets people into the habit of eating food all day long, and you're obsessed with food all day long. It's okay to be hungry in between your meals. When I was growing up, we didn't snack in between meals. I mean, we had, our lunch and then our dinner, and if we wanted something in between that, if I asked my mom for a snack, she'd say, I don't want you to ruin your dinner, we're gonna eat in an hour. So she would just say, no, I want you to be hungry for dinner. And so if you have children and they're picky at the dinner table and you're like, oh, they're always just pushing their food around and they don't want to eat, maybe it's because they had a snack earlier and they don't really want it that much. If you let your kids go hungry in between meals, and it's not going to kill them, no one's going to starve to death not eating between lunch and dinner, your kids are going to be hungry and they're going to eat that dinner if they didn't have a snack. So don't think that you have to snack all the time. And I would say, my advice would be to ban food from the car altogether, because if you're just driving around your neighborhood, or you're running errands, or you're picking the kids up and you're doing this and that, why do you have to eat in the car? Why do you have to have a snack? Even if you're on a cross-country trip, you shouldn't have food in the car. Maybe some bottled water, in case people get thirsty, or maybe some emergency snacks if someone does happen to be diabetic and you need to have something on hand if they need sugar or something like that. But even if you're driving on a long distance trip like that, stop and have a meal. Don't just snack in the car all day long. We're so used to snacking while we watch television, and snacking in the car, and snacking while we're at sporting events, and we just eat all the time, and we've just gotten so obsessed with food. So really, it's portion sizes and it's how often we eat. Think about how much food you take in one day. And really start training your kids now, start teaching them the proper way to eat is to be hungry for your meal. And you shouldn't leave that meal either completely stuffed. You should eat until you're satisfied, but you shouldn't ever be like, oh my God, I'm so full after dinner. You should just be satisfied and not still hungry, but not so stuffed to where you can't eat another bite. So I hope this helps. And I hope this doesn't sound too preachy, because we've all been brought up the same way, and it takes time to learn this, and it's really a practice. So practice better eating habits every day, and you'll get better and better and better at it. And you'll get healthier and healthier. And really, if you start reducing the amount of food that you eat, whether it's a carb or a sugar or any type of food it is, if you just start eating a little bit less, you're gonna start to see weight loss progress. And try to get out of the habit of snacking. And of course, sometimes you do want to have a snack. Maybe you have a bunch of people over and you're watching the Super Bowl or something. But it shouldn't be a habit that you get into in between every meal and all day long. And of course, if you're really dropping in energy because it's been a long time since you've eaten, sure, have something. But don't make it a habit to have something all the time, have to be eating in the car, and your kids get a snack every time they whine that they want something. Just say no and tell them, no, I want you to be hungry for dinner, and I'll tell you they're gonna eat whatever's on that plate if they're hungry for dinner. So thank you for joining me. I hope this helps. And if you have any questions about the Mediterranean diet, please drop them in the comments below, and I'm making a whole series with questions that people are asking me. So if you have something you wanna know, let me know. And let me know, how often do you snack, and do you eat in the car? And do you think that you could get out of the habit of eating in the car? And do you think that you could be disciplined enough with your children to tell them no, they're not allowed to snack in between meals? So that is all for today. Thank you for watching. Please share this video with your friends, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, do all the things that I ask you to do, and I will see you next time. Bye.